Good afternoon. I am Kim Melnick, School Board Chair, and the administrative, informal, and workshop session of this meeting of the School Board of the City of Virginia Beach, Virginia is hereby convened at 3:02 on this 14th day of March, 2024. At this time, I will ask Madam Clerk to please tally the roll call.
Yes. Not Bill, but Jennifer, yes. And yes.
I'm struggling.
So, Madam Chair, present in the school board chamber is Mr. Callen, Ms. Brown, Ms. Riggs, Chair Melnick, Ms. Weems, and Ms. Kendrick.
Okay, and for the record, Ms. Owens is on her way. Miss Manning will not be here this evening for personal reasons. Mr. Culpepper will not be here this evening for personal reasons. Miss Anderson is running late. And Miss Franklin's husband is in the hospital. And so with that, please note, members of the public will be able to observe the school board meeting through live streaming on schoolboard.vbschools.com/meetings/live, broadcast on VBTV Channel 47 and on Zoom. And I thank you to those that have joined us in person and online. We'll begin today with school board administrative matters and reports. Does anybody have anything? I have a few. Okay, so I'll start first that I'm going to be asking the Policy Review Committee to please review the PPMC, the Performance and Planning Monitoring Committee, as that would require a policy change. So I'm asking that committee to review that committee and report back to the board on that. The superintendent's evaluation meeting is on June 4th. I believe we have a 4 o'clock start time for that, so please mark your calendars. The retreat dates are July 9th and 10th, with the abridged meeting on the 9th, that Tuesday. So please, we've been talking about for a while, so if you would please, if you haven't done so, mark your calendars for that. And in addition, to the retreat agenda, which has been sent out to all board members, Mr. Callen has asked for an addition to the retreat agenda, a retreat agenda item, and that is for cell phones. And so we would like to add that, and I'm letting the board know now that Dr. Robertson is able to squeeze that into our agenda. And if you have any questions or concerns about that, just please let the board know. Ms. Brown.
On the vein of cell phones, I think that perhaps some conversation about smartwatches might be something to consider in that conversation as well. Thank you.
Mr. Callen.
You stole my thunder.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I should have my mic on. You stole my thunder.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I'll disengage now, but thank you very much. You covered the ground I was going to plow.
Oh, good. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Anything else? Okay. Then we will start this evening with weighted grades, and we welcome Thomas Quinn, Executive Director of Secondary Teaching and Learning. Welcome, sir.
Oh, there we go. All right. Good afternoon, Chairman Melnick, Vice Chair Franklin, members of the school board, Dr. Robertson. As noted, I am Tom Quinn, Executive Director of Secondary Teaching and Learning. and I am joined today by Robert Jameson, Executive Director of Student Support Services. Today, we will provide an overview on weighted credits in Virginia Beach City Public Schools. To best prepare you for learning, you are encouraged to take focus notes which have been provided in your packet, and I encourage you to record your thoughts and or questions that will arise while we present. To be clear, I expect you to have questions, and that's okay. I do ask that you respectfully hold to them until the end of the presentation. If I move too quickly, or you wish to examine something for a slightly longer period of time, kindly make me aware. If I can get a thumbs up, I know we're ready to go. All right, I got a quorum. Here we go. We got this. According to the Administrative Code of Virginia, advanced level courses may be suitable for weighted credit, enticing students to enroll and to recognize their additional effort. Suitability must be determined by local school boards, reflected in the school board policy, and on the school profile. As defined by a school profile, a weighted course is an advanced level course in which credit is increased as set forth by school board policy. Students are encouraged to take more advanced level coursework at Virginia Beach, and these courses may be eligible for weighted credit. We now take a moment to review school board policy on what is an advanced course and how we weight them. First, it is important to understand Advanced Placement or AP and International Baccalaureate, also known as IB, courses are automatically granted weighted status per state code. Virginia Code outlines the criteria required for a course to be eligible for weighting. These criteria include, number one, the course must have a specified curriculum that has been approved either by the local board or by an external agency that meets the criteria set forth by the program and organization. Number two, the course must have standards that surpass the typical requirements of a regular course. And number three, the course must have a clearly defined assessment component. It is up to school divisions to decide what non-AP and non-IB courses, such as dual enrollment and academy courses, should be considered for weighting. The state code does provide specific criteria to guide these decisions. The criteria mentioned ensures if a course is weighted, it is because it meets specific quality standards and goes beyond the standard curriculum requirements. Now I'll address dual enrollment regulation 689.1. Section D defines the level of high school credit in relation to the college credit hours completed. For dual enrollment class to receive 1 unit of credit, 6 hours of college credit must be completed. 1/2 credit is awarded for every 3 college credit hours completed. Section E identifies college course semester grades will be included when calculating a high school GPA. Here, Section F discusses the regulation for weighted college course. Again, if in order for a college course to be considered for weighted credit, it must meet one of the following criteria. 1, the student has successfully completed an advanced placement or AP course and subsequently enrolls in a higher level sequential college course. For example, an AP course could be a prerequisite for a dual enrollment course. Or 2, the college course is identified and listed on the approved course list as comparable to an AP course. By assigning weighted status to college courses that meet these criteria, we aim to recognize the additional effort and academic achievements of our students who choose to pursue advanced coursework through dual enrollment programs. It is important to note the determination of whether a college course meets the criteria for weighted credit is made in accordance with this regulation. And this regulation ensures a fair and consistent evaluation process, guaranteeing that only eligible courses receive the weighted status. In Virginia Beach, each student's GPA is calculated using the standard grading scale and correlated GPA values listed on the slide shown. You can also see this in your notes. This is the unweighted GPA and applies to all students. This will serve as our baseline as we move into our discussion of weighted and or bonus credit. On this slide, you will see that an A equals a 4.0, a B a 3.0, and a C a 2.0. A handout with this information continues to guide you through this process. In this slide, we see a basic template that guides us on how to calculate a student's unweighted GPA using their final or completed grades. While no data is listed, the process is displayed and can be used once data is obtained. For each class, you would enter the letter grade earned for each class completed and multiply it with the corresponding value linked to that grade. This would provide a point total for each class completed. Once the value is totaled, one would add the total points earned before dividing it by the classes completed. In the next slide, we will walk through a basic example together. Let's take a look at a basic example to understand the system for calculating a student's unweighted GPA. In this example, the student completed 6 courses. For each A, they earned 4 points, and for each B, they earned 3. Using the chart provided, we see the total points for each grade in the far right column. By totaling the last column, we reach a sum of 21. The final step in determining an unweighted GPA is to divide the total points earned by the number of classes completed. In this case, a sum of 21 is divided by 6 and gives us an unweighted GPA of 3.5, which has been highlighted. Before I move on, I want to make sure we feel good about the information provided. Thumbs up if we're still good, or does anybody need more time? I know it's a lot of stuff. All right. Yes, sir. Oh, it does have the. There you go. Didn't think that was going to be available. All right, now that we have a solid foundation, let's move on. Before doing so, let's review some key vocabulary to minimize possible points of confusion. In this slide, we'll examine 2 types of weighting used among neighboring divisions. While we will examine to what degree each division weights selected courses, it's important to focus on the process over the product. In short, ask yourself, is the GPA weighted before or after being calculated? In Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, and Norfolk, weighted credit refers to credit that is awarded after a student's GPA is calculated and is referred to as bonus credit. In Portsmouth and Suffolk, weighted credit is awarded to each individual grade before a GPA is calculated. As mentioned on the previous slide, Virginia Beach refers to weighted credits as bonus credit and awards this bonus according to the regulations shown here in 529.1. It is important to note that bonus credit is just one component of the overall grading system. The regular credit earned by completing the course successfully remains the primary factor in determining a student's GPA. Bonus is an additional recognition provided to students who demonstrate exceptional mastery and understanding of the course material. The bonus credit valuations are listed on this slide and represent year-long courses. In short, bonus credit for specific courses, as determined by the Department of Teaching and Learning, aims to acknowledge and reward academic achievements of our students. By providing this incentive, we hope to foster a culture of excellence and inspire our students to continually push the boundaries of their educational journey. Again, it's just a reminder, it's important to note this bonus credit is just one component of the overall grading system. The regular credit earned by successfully completing a course remains the primary factor in determining their grade. As we begin our examination of how a neighboring divisions weight courses, the following courses will be discussed in relation to if and how each division approaches weighting grades. So we have advanced placement, international baccalaureate IB, dual enrollment, honors, and Governor's School for the Arts. As we take a look at the weighting practices of Virginia Beach and our neighboring divisions, as previously discussed, Virginia Beach uses the bonus format for weighted grades, which means the weight is added after the GPA is calculated. As you review the slide on the screen, you will see our division weights grades for AP, IB, and 3 dual enrollment classes, but does not weight for the Governor's School for the Arts or honors courses. Each course listed on this slide is juxtaposed with a grade of A for the corresponding bonus weight. For the purpose of this slide, each weight reflects a year-long course. Because dual enrollment classes are semesters in length, a reduced weight is shown to reflect the bonus credit. I want to clarify there is one correction that was made to this draft prior to submission, and that is the 3 dual enrollment courses that are listed. It is actually Applied Calc 2, and Vector Calc is what you see. It should read Calculus 2, Calculus 3, which is multivariable, and Vector Calculus. It continues to be accurate. Now we examine Chesapeake Public Schools, who award bonus credit for AP, IB, GSA, and honors courses. Dual enrollment classes are not weighted. Recall from the bonus versus weighted slide that Chesapeake weights are added to the overall GPA as done in Virginia Beach, but differ as they award a bonus of 0.05 or 0.025 regardless of the grade, unlike Virginia Beach, which has a descending scale. On this slide, we see Norfolk Public Schools, much like Chesapeake, adds the bonus weight to the GPA regardless of the grade each course, with only a slight variance from our neighbors. On this slide, you will note the weighting practices of Portsmouth Public Schools. Portsmouth exercises a different practice where they award weight to AP, dual enrollment, and honors courses. Unlike the bonus format used by Virginia Beach, Norfolk, and Chesapeake, Portsmouth adds the bonus directly to each individual course grade. For example, a student in Portsmouth Public Schools enrolled in AP US History who earns an A would receive a weight of 1.0, thus moving their 4.0 to a 5.0. For honors classes, the weight is reduced from 1.0 to 0.5. Currently, Portsmouth does not offer IB courses. Once each course value is totaled, the final GPA is then averaged using the sum by the number of courses completed. Moving to Suffolk, we examine our neighbors who follow a model similar to that of Portsmouth. Suffolk awards a 1.0 weight to each GPA for AP, IB, and dual enrollment while adding a 0.5 weight to GSA, honors, and pre-IB. As in the previous scenario, the weight is added to each grade before being averaged by the total number of courses completed. A grade of A meriting a 4.0 GPA equivalent would move to a 5.0 for AP, IB, and dual enrollment. And GSA, honors, and pre-IB courses earning an A would move from a 4.0 to a 4.5. Oops, sorry. Thank you. And I'll give you a moment to look at that since it was not online. If you need me to repeat anything, go ahead and say. Right. On this slide, we provide a recap on each of our neighboring divisions, allows us to spiral back before we move to reviewing how weighted GPAs are calculated. I'll give you a minute to review. Kindly look up when you are done. All right. I see your eyes. Let's go. On this screen, we revisit the baseline of weighting values used by VBCPS as we prepare to up the rigor again and calculate a weighted GPA. Let's proceed to review a student's grades. Revisiting our unweighted example, we can now calculate a student's weighted GPA. Again, you may wish to review this information in your handout in your packet and make additional annotations as needed. As we begin to calculate a weighted GPA using the bonus credit format, you'll observe a simplified example where a student has completed 2 courses eligible for bonus credit, 1 AP and 1 IB. Using the tool provided, we can calculate a baseline GPA of 3.5 after averaging 1A and 1B earned. Recognizing these 2 courses completed qualify as weighted, you can now calculate the final GPA using the bonus credit format. And just remember, the bonus is added after the initial GPA is calculated. The year-long course shown is an AP course. The student earned a grade of 93A in this course, and the grade in this AP course carries a bonus credit value of 0.0488. You also see they completed a year-long IB course. The student earned a grade of 86B in this course. The grade in this IB course carries a bonus credit value of 0.0366. I do want to note that IB and AP, this particular example, could only occur at Princess Anne and Green Run, who house the IB programs. To calculate the weighted GPA, we add the bonus credit values to the existing GPA. Using the base GPA of 3.5, we add the bonus credit for AP, which was 0.0488, the bonus credit for IB, which is 0.0366. This takes our total weighted GPA computation from a 3.5 up to a GPA that is weighted at 3.5854. By incorporating the bonus credit for advanced placement courses and specifically approved courses like IB, we can provide additional recognition for students who have challenged themselves with more rigorous coursework. The weighted GPA reflects the student's achievements and acknowledges their dedication to advanced studies. Understanding the calculation of a weighted GPA enables us to accurately evaluate a student's academic performance considering both regular and weighted coursework. In this slide, we examine what might happen if GSA courses were weighted and eligible for bonus credit. The purpose of this example is to bring awareness to the potential impact of weighting GSA courses. This will showcase a student earned an A in a semester GSA course. Note, all GSA courses are semester in length, therefore the bonus credit is reduced by half for each letter grade valuation in comparison to the year-long course. This aligns with the bonus credit valuations added to dual enrollment. And on the next slide, we will show the impact on GPA as well as class rank. As we begin to examine the impact of GSA courses, if GSA courses were to be weighted, we will begin with the data from a current GSA student. This particular student began with an unweighted GPA of 3.9908. Awarding bonus credit for successfully completing weighted courses, the student earned a .1952 bonus credit, elevating their unweighted GPA to a weighted GPA of 4.1860. The student's weighted GPA currently ranks them 31st in their senior class. On this slide, you observe what herein lies the greatest impact should GSA courses be designated for weighting. Using the standard weighting system and recognizing the GSA semester course would offer bonus weight of .1464 for a grade of A, the same student who initially earned a GPA of 4.186 would see their GPA increase to 4.3324. The greater impact would be felt through their class rank, which would move from 31st to 7th. The data demonstrates the significant impact this decision could carry and should be considered carefully if the board wishes to pursue this pathway. In summary, the criteria for determining which courses are eligible to receive weighted credit is outlined in Virginia Code. According to the code, a course must possess the following elements to be considered for weighted credit. Number one, a specified curriculum. The course must have a curriculum that has been approved by the local board or an external agency. Higher standards is number two. The course must include standards that go beyond the normal requirements of a standard course. These standards should reflect a more rigorous and advanced level content, depth, or skill development. Number three, a defined assessment component. This course should have a clearly defined assessment component. This means that there should be specific methods and criteria for evaluating students' mastery of the course, content, and skills. The assessment should align with the elevated standards of the course. The determination of which courses receive bonus credit is handled by the Department of Teaching and Learning, as stated in Regulation 529.1. We in the Department of Teaching and Learning are committed to reviewing courses offered and evaluating them based on the elements mentioned earlier to ensure the course meets the established criteria for weighting before following Regulation 689.1 to ensure the course has been identified on the approved course list. As we move to conclude our presentation, here are a few thoughts to consider and guide your work. First, policy. Consider creating Policy 689 based on Regulation 689.1. At this time, only Regulation 689 exists. Consideration number two. Consider which cohort you would begin this change if you choose to do so. Considerations should begin with rising grade 6. Weighting. Consider revisiting the weight awarded per course in comparison to that of neighboring districts. And consider the impact on class rank for all students and the implications for academies and other programs. Consider the implication if a decision to weight GSA courses is made, as the division offers many other advanced academic pathways, such as the visual and performing arts and the career and technical education courses. And dual enrollment. Consider reviewing Regulation 689, which according to records was last reviewed in 1991. Thank you for allowing me to share the information on how weighted credits are implemented at Virginia Beach. Know our goal was to provide the most accurate information that would inform the work you do in alignment with the mission and vision this board has for staff and students. We stand by ready to support the direction you wish to proceed. I would now like to invite Robert Jamison, Executive Director of Student Support Services, to join me in answering any questions you have.
Ms. Owens?
Thank you. And thank you for the presentation. I've been looking forward to this one, and I apologize for my missing the first few minutes. My question is about dual enrollment courses. Could you tell me how many dual enrollment courses are currently available to our students? And then I want to understand why only 3 of them are weighted.
Good afternoon. Currently, we have over 120 courses that are available to our students. That does include some of our EBA courses at the Kempsville Academy, Entrepreneurship and Business Academy, so that is not available to all, but over 120 courses are available for weighted credit. In terms of the second part of your question of the decision, it's a matter of, we had a large expansion of dual enrollment courses just over the last 3 years, and so the review process is one that has essentially started, but we are in a moment of pause, to be honest with you, because the 3 courses that you see listed, those were the weighting of those courses was established at least 7-8 years ago at this point. And just to give context, we went from really only having 4 weighted courses, dual enrollment courses for a very long period of time. And then in 2016, that then expanded to 13 additional courses. And then over the last few years, again, we've now expanded to over 120 dual enrollment courses. So the review process, as you saw outlined today by Mr. Quinn, is one that just needs to be started, and one that we could prioritize based on feedback from senior staff as well as with the board.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Ms. Brown?
Okay, bear with me, I'm sorry. This is a very important topic to me. I'm really passionate about. So I want to start with the 6th grade suggestion that this would impact students 6 or 7 or so years from now. I feel like if we're as a division going to truly value alternative pathways, that saying that we're going to wait 7 years to implement something doesn't really seem to make too much sense to me. I passed this down here. It says free dual enrollment opportunities through TCC. And when I look at these things, I look at them through the lens of the people that have come to me in my district with concerns. But then I also have to investigate parent side myself. So, and this doesn't have anything to do with my kid because it will not positively impact my kid at this point. But I have a child right now that is enrolled in 3 AP courses instead of dual enrollment. I'm going to be paying $95 for an exam that the college credit may or may not ride upon the outcome of that exam, even though he may be able to get an A in that course. And then I get this in my email inbox, and it says, free if you have a cumulative GPA of 3.0 through TCC. And that's after class signups have already occurred. And so, I'm getting people in the division reaching out to me because they're getting emails like this. And then they're also trying to balance trying to get those weighted bonuses for scholarship opportunities to save some money. And so what we are doing as a division by weighting is putting them in a position, I feel, where we're making them have to really pick and choose when they could have already moved the ball in the right direction. And when I sit at the Kempsville graduation, there were so many students that graduated already with associate degrees, and I just want our students in our division to have that same exact opportunity. I understand there's some governor school questions due to my naivety, really, I think. I'm not as familiar with the rigor involved in those particular courses to know, but I have a lot of trouble thinking that if the outcome is that you're going to get your college English 1, that's your 111 freshman English, we can do a bonus for that, but we cannot do a bonus for the equivalent English 111 And we're gonna say that 11th grade English is comparable rigor to that of college English, it just doesn't seem to add up to me. And so, does that make sense? Like,
To a certain degree.
well, so we're not saying that the AP course is, we're saying that only the AP course is rigor of the college level.
State code has listed that, yes.
Yes. So, on the school board, I don't advocate for the state code to change for everything when we can do stuff internally. So I would make a suggestion to the legislative committee to take a look at that. However, I don't advocate for changing the state code when we can do it right here on our school board. And so the state code may say that, but it doesn't say that college English is not the rigor of a college level. And the statement on the back for AP says this is a college level course with college level rigor. So, are we really going into saying that the college course isn't college level rigor? It just doesn't make sense to me. So, but I was really curious about one thing, and it was how the 4x4 courses are, and do they get a different bonus for taking an AP course that is the first part of the year,
Understood.
semester?
Well, if I may, if I was tracking all of those pieces, one, and I may go to the second part first and the first part second. Second part being the dual enrollment courses coming back is free. That was not a VBCPS decision. That was information that was shared with us through TCC, through the Virginia Community College System at the time that they chose to share it. The moment we received it, we immediately promoted that opportunity to our community. So that was not a Virginia Beach City Public Schools decision to wait, and I know we're using a homophone right now. Wait is in WAIT, to then determine how we would share that information. For the first part, in regards to why we would change, or why you see the recommendation for rising sixth grade, that is only from a planning standpoint. So if we were to make the change immediately, as you saw, there's a student who would jump from 31st to 7th. There is a chance, I will say, that there are students who are currently in the top 5, top 6, who, should they receive additional weighted courses or credit through GSA, may become valedictorian. And the student who's currently sitting at number 1 from a class rank standpoint, we now have a different question or discussion that may need to happen. That's the only reason why, in addition to, you have rising sixth grade students. By the time they get to 9th grade, it's a fresh start for all 9th grade students to then have the same set of parameters or just say structure going in. So that's where the rising sixth grade comes from. Please know that is not set in stone. That's just a thought. And then I still want to answer your question, but you seem to have a follow-up.
Yeah, it's kind of a moving bar though, right? So you can only measure the output that you put into something. And so, to deny somebody the opportunity when they're really doing something that's advanced coursework, I feel like is not really fair or equitable, to be perfectly honest.
Well, there's two decisions to make. There's a decision to make regarding whether or not it should be weighted. And then there's a decision to make as to when that would go into effect. So no disagreement. It's really just a matter of that decision being made. Then your last question, you said the most pressing was?
Wasn't a pressing question, it was just a
Sorry.
question. So, we have AP courses that are on the 4x4 schedule that are not year-long. Do they still qualify for the same bonus of .04, I believe it's 88?
Correct. So if it's a one credit course, they're going to receive .0488.
Okay, and so I think, to me, the hang-up there is on some of the information there. I feel like maybe in the transfer to the 4x4, something got lost in translation here with the dual enrollments. I mean, even the ones that are approved are .0244, and so I don't really know if there's something that we could fix there or not, but it seems a little off to me for
So
some
let me-
reason.
If I may clarify on that. So what we've done in Virginia Beach in regards to some of our dual enrollment courses, as you know, they're a semester in length similar to that of a college, right? So with dual enrollment English, what we have chosen to do in all of our schools is that English 111 is completed during the first 9 weeks. And then English 112 is completed during the second 9 weeks. so that at the end of the first semester, a student is still getting 1 full credit of English. So that's something we chose to do in collaboration with TCC, so that students wouldn't be behind in any way when it comes to earning credits for courses required for graduation. So then similarly, that 4x4 course that's AP, you get a full credit at the end of the first semester. Just like dual, you have an opportunity to get a full credit at the end of the first semester.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm with Ms. Brown. I don't see waiting that long, and, I'm sorry. Oh. I think waiting and saying we recommend, I'm in favor of waiting the governor's school, okay? I'm clear, I want to be clear on that. But I don't want to wait for rising sixth graders to implement this. I'm in favor of maybe waiting so that rising ninth graders could begin it next year, because that's when they start high school. But I realize there's even eighth grade students who take some weighted classes, but I think waiting for rising sixth graders is way too long to wait. I want to implement this as soon as possible, because I believe in my heart that those kids who are in the governor's school deserve to have weighted classes. They work really hard, and I know, Ms. Melnick, I know you were gonna speak about it, so I'm gonna just stop right here. I do have one question for Ms. Linetti. Do we really, have we really not reviewed that since 1991?
I just had my paralegal look up on our chart too to make sure. PRC does this policies, so regulations have to come up to us, so we checked it, and our records don't indicate that it's been reviewed.
Oh, it's a regulation, that's not
It's
a
a
policy.
it's
We're
not a
up to date
policy.
on all policies, so we need
We don't
to
have a
work on-
policy in dual enrollment, we only have a regulation, so
Okay.
it might be something we need to switch into policy versus regulation, so that I can add it for PRC next week to take a look at.
I would really like that, because I think we need to look at that, take a look, see what it says. So, all right, thank you. I refer to Ms. Melnick on this, because I would like her to talk about exactly what these kids that go to governor's school have to do. Thank you.
So for a decade, I've been talking to teaching and learning about this. It's been very difficult to defend our position when all of the surrounding school districts, except for Portsmouth, wait these classes. And as I listened to this presentation, I think the gut punch for me was the way class rank might be affected by a governor's school student. And that was a real gut punch for me, because, and as you stated at the beginning of your presentation, these weighted courses should go beyond standard curriculum assignments and for students who choose to do advanced coursework, all of which is true for the Governor's School for the Arts. And so I did just text somebody, I should have texted the director, to find out how many students apply. It's a lot. How many students get in? It's very few. Virginia Beach, being the largest school district, has the largest presence at the governor's school. And I'm just going to say my perception is that nobody really understands the rigor of that school. And we're not talking about time commitments. We're talking about actual rigor. And it goes above and beyond anything a student could get in any fine arts program in our own city. And our fine arts programs are top notch. This is a step above. And I am on the Governor's School Regional Board. I should have said that first. However, and I had a child who went there. It is rigor. It's rigorous. I know Miss Linetti's son was a student there too. I hope that somebody spends a week there and visits every program to see. This is not just singing and dancing and willy-nilly. This is not only all of that, times theory, times term papers, times a lot of things. And just speaking on behalf of the musical theater department, is actually a pipeline to Broadway. And the number of students that have not attended college and are now on Broadway, you'd probably have to sit down when I start naming people that you probably know that are on Broadway right now. And I think it's been a misunderstood program for a very long time. I made a couple of notes. That one piece though was a real, I wrote in all capitals, is this bad? That a governor school student who is participating in this kind of rigor might jump from 31 to 7. And these are kids that give up half their high school. You have to remember that too. They leave our buildings at noon and are exempt from many things, like being able to participate in the Honor Society. You know, they do volunteer work too. Anyone who just saw Jersey Boys probably saw a nice handful of Governor's School for the Arts students in that, working alongside of equity actors from New York. And that should count as they don't get paid, yet they are prohibited from being a member of the National Honor Society. So they give up things in order to do these programs and can't participate in other things at their high schools. And sports. Marching band, the list is endless. But to deny them the opportunity to have, and it's a small weight, we're not talking about a 1.0, we're talking about a point something. Just to mention determining courses to receive weighted credit, I ask that you look at their methods and criteria for assessment, because it is very difficult. Not everybody at GSA walks away with straight A's. It's not a gimme in that program. I'm sorry, Ms. Owens, I'm gonna go to you. I'm just seeing if I had one more so I don't have to come back. I think I made my point. Okay, thank you. Ms. Owens.
Thank you. And I appreciate that you were looking to make sure you had gotten all your points out, because I should have done that the first time around and I wouldn't be back in the queue. The one thing that I noted that I guess I was surprised about is that Virginia Beach is the only school district in our area that's not doing any weighting for honors. And it wasn't one of the suggestions or things brought up today. So I just wanted to get some thoughts on it. And ultimately, I think what I'm taking away from this presentation and discussion, and please correct me if I am misspeaking, is that if the board wants weighting to be happening on different program areas, we need to start that off in policy review committee and bring it back to the board and get it revised and get a vote on it, and we will decide what will be weighted and when we can implement it, obviously with strong input from admin about how the weighting occurs and is calculated. But the piece about the honors classes, is there thoughts on why we're not, or what that might look like, consequences?
And honestly, that was a historical decision. That's all it was. It was a limited number of courses over the years. I'm going to be really clear that that was not my historical decision. But with that in mind, we had only really for the longest time, the only courses that were weighted were English. I'm sorry, honors, excuse me. Only courses for which we had honors was English. And then we introduced Algebra 1 honors, and then we introduced geometry honors, and we've added a few more, one more with social studies more recently. So again, with some recent things that have occurred in terms of curriculum, courses, course titles, there are options for further consideration, and that's why that was on that consideration slide.
Wonderful, thank you. And I know I heard from the other PRC members just in their comments that we are interested in having this come up in PRC. Ms. Linetti is adding it in for at least us to have a starter conversation and look at developing a policy to go along with that regulation. And hopefully we'll have something that we can bring back and share with the board at least 2 meetings from now. So by July at the latest. I see Dr. Robertson.
Yeah, so, Ms. Owens, I would ask that, I would ask the board, members of PRC to really act as if you're starting from a fresh slate. Don't let 689.1 drive you. What do you want to see as a group? So you brought forth this notion of honors. You can cover all that within a policy that represents the wishes of the board. Then we'll make it happen through regulations. So don't be constrained by what already exists. I really would like to know what you guys want to do so that we can put something forward.
Absolutely, thank you.
And since no one's else on the board, I did remember one thing, which is, I am asking my colleagues on PRC to really consider not waiting another 6 or 7 years for this to come around. I mean, I've been talking about this for a decade, and it just sounds so punitive to me in just the oddest way that the only kids who are ever going to receive a weighted grade is the perception of that those few TCC classes and some AP courses. And I think there are more students in this division who are doing college level work in different ways than just what we see on this paper. So that's my suggestion to my colleagues, and I'll leave that for you to decide to bring forward. Anybody else? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, oh goodness, number C is the DARE program. And with that, hello, Casey Conger, welcome. We look forward to this report.
Good evening, Chairwoman Melnick, Vice Chair Franklin, school board members, and Dr. Robertson. My name is Casey Conger, and I serve as the Coordinator for Health and Physical Education, K-12 in the Department of Teaching and Learning. I've been asked to provide you with a brief overview of the DARE program and some points for consideration. To preface the information I will share with you this evening, I want to acknowledge I am not an expert in DARE as it relates to Virginia Beach. The program has not been implemented since 2015, and there are no staff currently in my department who were in the Department of Teaching and Learning at that time. The information shared reflects what I've been able to find via my own research, as well as reaching out to the DARE State Testing Coordinator and 2 other divisions in the state of Virginia currently implementing the DARE program. Originally, DARE instruction was provided by the Virginia Beach Police Department beginning in 1993 and was later provided by the Virginia Beach Sheriff's Office. We believe students in grades 5 through 7 were provided DARE instruction initially, and when the program was phased out, the instruction was occurring in 4th or 5th grade during health class. There has been contradictory information in regards to which grade level was the last to receive DARE instruction. At that time, BBCPS had separate health instructional minutes provided by their classroom teacher. As you are aware, we now utilize a combined program in which all health objectives are taught during physical education instruction at the elementary level, as our division has prioritized daily physical activity and recess for our elementary students. When researching, I found a Virginia Pilot article from June 2015, which stated the program was phased out due to the cost, which at the time was approximately $780,000 per year, and the understaffed officer positions at the jail. The program required at that time 11 uniformed officers. Additionally, it included that studies indicated the program was not effective, and it had in fact led students to experimenting with drugs. Due to these findings, DARE lost its federal funding and thus required local dollars to fund their program. Per the 2014-15 Sheriff's Annual Report, it indicated that City Council agreed that eliminating the DARE program would facilitate closing a budget shortfall the city was facing at that time. DARE provides a variety of resources and programs which they describe as multicultural and developmentally appropriate. The Keepin' It Real curriculum utilized in the comprehensive elementary and middle grades program was a standalone program that is on the evidence-based practices list from the National Institute of Health. There are questions regarding which portion of the DARE program is evidence-based, and I can share further information regarding as needed. DARE seems to offer a variety of programs, including an early grades program for pre-K through second grades, as well as elementary, middle, and high school programs. Displayed here are the number of lessons in each and the time needed to implement each lesson. They also offer programs for parents and communities, as well as substance-specific lessons for opioids, vaping, and prescription drugs. Their program incorporates the social and emotional learning skills of self-awareness, responsible decision-making, and communication skills, which are aligned to the SEL framework in our division. All lessons are provided by a uniformed officer. Allow me to share an overview of the Keepin' It Real curriculum. Due to the growing concerns regarding the content of the original DARE curriculum and its effectiveness, the Keepin' It Real curriculum was adopted in 2013. This curriculum was already in existence, and DARE adopted it as part of their program in order to provide evidence-based results. The content is built around the themes of safe and responsible choices. The lessons are designed to provide increased opportunities to practice the DARE decision-making model, which scaffolds lessons in which students define, assess, respond, and evaluate concepts such as decision-making, peer pressure, stress, communication, bullying, and helping others. Lessons are taught through stories and role-playing, and opportunities for journaling are provided with each lesson. The Keepin' It Real curriculum was developed around 5th grade Common Core standards, and the Virginia Language Arts and Health SOL correlations are provided. I have reached out to ask if it has been updated since 2013 and have not yet been provided with this information. I was unable to locate copyright publication years on any of the documents. In order to ensure clarity on what our division is currently providing to address these important topics and ensure our students are well informed on the risks of drugs and other unsafe behaviors, I will share a bit about our VBCPS health curriculum. The VBCPS health curriculum is extremely comprehensive, covering physical fitness, mental health, trafficking, substance abuse, and many more topics. I have provided you each a copy of the Virginia SOLs as they relate to substance use and abuse instruction, so you are able to see the expectations of the state for teaching and learning by each grade level. We work to ensure teachers are provided curriculum in direct alignment to the state's expectations, and we develop professional learning to ensure teacher clarity in best practices for instruction. In our curriculum, drug prevention begins in kindergarten and builds in depth and complexity through 10th grade, or what we refer to as HPE2. Our curriculum is updated continuously to align with the Virginia Standards of Learning, guidance from VDOE, as well as in alignment to legislation passed through the General Assembly. We provide age and developmentally appropriate instruction on the dangers of drug use and abuse and substance-specific lessons on vaping in 2nd through 10th grades. Next year, we will be updating again by providing an opioid and fentanyl-specific lesson to all 9th and 10th grade students per state guidance. I would like to share a few points for consideration if the school board would like us to consider adopting this program. As mentioned previously, in VBCPS, we proudly utilize a combined health and physical education model at the elementary level to ensure our students exercise daily and are provided recess, which prioritizes unstructured, active play for our young learners. Our students currently receive 30 minutes of physical education, followed by the mandated 15 minutes of recess. For clarity, policy also requires us to provide an additional 15 minutes of recess at the other end of the day. The comprehensive DARE program for 5th grade and up consists of 450 instructional minutes, much of which would need to occur during core classroom time. Keep in mind, we must adhere to the instructional minutes required for math, literacy, social studies, and science instructional minutes. This is why VBCPS has customized our curriculum to ensure essential health lessons are integrated during the PE block in a systematic manner covering all required standards and meeting legislative requirements. For example, 5th grade PE teachers cover 30 broad PE objectives, while also incorporating 9 high-quality units of health instruction to include body systems, nutrition, physical health, disease prevention, substance abuse prevention, safety and injury prevention, mental health and social emotional skills, violence prevention, and community and environmental health. I would also like to note that recently many bills have moved through the General Assembly, which will impact additional material which must be covered during health and physical education minutes. It is also important to note that upcoming VDOE guidance on requirements for opioid and drug abuse instruction will be coming to school divisions in November 2024. I thought it would be helpful to know that we have other supports in place through SAPE and Care Solace. We are currently exploring partnership with the Virginia Beach Police Department at the middle school level to address substance abuse with the LEAD program, which stands for Law Enforcement Against Drugs. With any new requirement or program, funding and costs would also need to be considered. From my research, I estimated student materials for DARE would cost approximately $8,000 to $10,000 per grade level division-wide. The cost for paying officers and the training required would depend on the structure implemented and would need to be worked out with the partnering law enforcement branch. Finally, as shared previously, there have been concerns related to the impact of the program and its effectiveness. I can share further research from various evaluations and studies conducted on the effectiveness and results of the DARE program as needed. To be clear, we are always open to partnerships and programs that will make a positive difference in our students' lives. This concludes the brief on the DARE program overview. We thank you for your time, and at this time, I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Conger. So when we had it way back, it was about $800,000 a year. So I think we can safely say that it's going to be more than that a year. Significantly more. Okay. And you know, my kids went through that program, and I kind of asked them about it. But I think that when you highlighted what we already have here as far as curriculum, and I'm very, very well aware of our curriculum in this area because I have worked at the state level getting it in school systems years ago, and then I know that it was reviewed and updated, and it will be updated. And I send that curriculum out to folks all the time. They call and they say, can I have Virginia Beach's curriculum on substance abuse and all that stuff, from other parts of the state and from all over the country. So I know it's a very good curriculum. So I'm just a little concerned that we're adding something that we're already doing.
I don't think that's our intention. I think we were just to provide you information.
Yeah, right. Well, right, okay. Well, I thank you for that information because I know that it was brought to our attention. And but my personal view is I think that we've got it embedded in the curriculum, like Ms. Conger said, starting in kindergarten. And it's a very good curriculum. It's very in-depth, very detailed, very hands-on once you get into middle school. It's a very good, solid curriculum that I'm very proud of. So I think we build on that and continue to build on that and make sure that our PE teachers are delivering such curriculum. And I know I've had coaches also that also teach PE that actually have done it separately to their team members as well, and that they've called me or seen me and said, I'm doing it also for my team, just as an extra bonus for them. So I'm very much pleased with what we're doing, and I appreciate your help in this regard too. And so I think it's just an astronomical expense for something that we are doing already in our school system. Thank you.
Ms. Owens.
And I won't belabor the point, but I agree with Ms. Weems. I utilized, I guess, or was presented with the DARE curriculum when I was a student in our district. I'm not sure that it was as impactful as the schools would have wanted. It became somewhat of a irony as students graduated. I'm going to wear this DARE shirt while I go out and do whatever I'm going to do. I am pleased that our district already kind of embeds a lot of this, and while we know that there's always room for improvement, as we get the 2024 standards coming down from VDOE, I am confident that we'll look for ways to build that in and continue to provide those services. I agree that this is not only an expense, but trying to make it fit by either mixing our instructional time or pulling PE or recess from our students, which does have research and evidence-based benefits, would not be my suggestion. So I agree with Ms. Weems. Thank you.
Do we have attorneys from the Commonwealth Attorney's Office come and speak to our students every year during their PE classes?
So we still utilize Virginia rules, in which we partner with the school resource officers, and so some schools do have those partnerships, but we don't have a standalone program.
Just
that they're
some
coming.
schools do.
But we do utilize Virginia rules, which is really the program that most school divisions are utilizing to.
Okay. Because sometimes those messages from attorneys and law enforcement,
Some of them utilize them also when this topic comes up in driver ed.
right?
And in those, and even in government classes, they utilize some of those.
Okay, all right, thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Conger. Okay, and that brings us to our final presentation this evening, which is the Betty F. Williams Bayside sixth grade guidance, and we welcome Jack Freeman, Chief Operations Officer.
Good afternoon, Chair Melnick, members of the board, and Dr. Robertson. We're here today to follow up on our April 16th workshop meeting where you directed us to explore specific adjustments in the current designs for the Williams Bayside 6 combined school. These are the 5 areas you asked us to explore. We will walk you through each one. Bullets 4 and 5 have both quantitative and substantial qualitative aspects. Dr. Smith will be sharing the qualitative information related to those topics. At the April 16th meeting, we recommended reducing gymnasium space to one 6,000 square foot gym and a 2,000 square foot multipurpose room. You asked us to take another look and consider how that 8,000 square foot could best be used, and we have reaffirmed the recommendation for a 6,000 square foot gym and a 2,000 square foot multipurpose room. It's an estimated savings of 8,400 gross square feet and $4.2 million, and you can see the intended use for the multipurpose room. At our last meeting, staff recommended the reduction of the dedicated sixth grade music space. We received strong feedback to continue to include that dedicated music room. That adds about 1,700 gross square feet at approximately $860,000. That space would support sixth grade band, chorus, and orchestra. You were, I think, unanimous in your opinion of eliminating the hallway adjacent to the library, which projects an estimated savings of 2,000 gross square feet at about $1 million. You next asked us to give you more information about the consequences of moving sixth grade students back into Bayside Middle School, which is the construct at all other Virginia Beach City Public Schools middle schools. Again, there are quantitative and qualitative aspects to that question. Let's start with the quantitative. Can we even fit the current projected student population into the current building? In the near term, the short answer is yes. That being said, we also briefed you on the current and potential construction in the Bayside Middle School attendance zones. And you can see that in the blue and the red on the map to the right, which could add a significant number of middle school students if and when those projects complete construction. More on that on the next slide. This slide shows the optimum capacity for Bayside 7 and 8. This year's number is 698. But this number includes all supports and programming for this unique 7-8 school with no space restrictions. Recently, the docile team and our 2 current principals and our facilities team met to see what would be possible if sixth grade was moved back into the Bayside Middle School building. And here are the projections for what is possible. There's a lot on this slide, so I'm going to walk you through it. We'll start on the far left. The first column represents a planning factor for how many students per classroom. It goes from 20 students per classroom down to 28. 2 columns over in the red box is the optimum capacity of the building based on the planned students per classroom. It goes from 896 with 20 students per classroom to 1,227 with 28 students per classroom. Next, I want to bring your attention to the colors. Green indicates within capacity. That's plus or minus 10% of optimum capacity. Yellow is the standard color we use to represent being more than 10% under capacity. However, for the purposes of this discussion, yellow is good. It means we have more than enough room given the projected membership and the planned students per classroom. So green and yellow are both good in this case. Red indicates 10% or more over capacity, so red is not good. We start to see the potential for overcapacity in school year 28-29. This potential is based upon the planned developments in the Bayside Middle School zone that we briefed you on April 16th and that you saw on the previous slide. If you look at school year 27-28, the membership is projected at 978. If those developments proceed at the quickest rate possible, you can see our projections grow to 1,650 students by school year 31-32. That's almost 700 students in 4 years. Now let's put that into perspective. The growth by almost 700 students is the worst case projection, and we need to be aware of the worst case. However, we have seen firsthand the challenges with development in the current economic environment. And those developments may not proceed that quickly, and we have time to monitor and potentially use rezoning to address. And before I talk about rezoning, this data shows that we can easily fit 6th grade students back into Bayside Middle School in the near term, but we would need to keep an eye on the membership related to changes from those potential developments through the BUC process. What needs to be understood about potentially rezoning a middle school, in this case, it will not be simple. The projected growth could be as many as 700 students. The 2 middle schools that abut Bayside are Independence and Larkspur. Independence is only 15 students under capacity. So there isn't much room there at Independence. The other adjacent middle school is Larkspur. Although Larkspur shows a capacity to receive about 200 additional students, from a qualitative perspective, moving more students into Larkspur would not be the top choice for our educational leaders. So, an option to rezone in the future to accommodate that potential additional growth is possible, but if needed, it will likely affect multiple school zones. So in short, it's possible to fit 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students with as few as 20 students per classroom into the current building immediately. We obviously wouldn't do it immediately, but it is possible. That being said, if all the projects proceeded and our projections were accurate, we would need to potentially accommodate an increase of almost 700 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students in the future. That's the quantitative perspective. So now I'll turn it over to Dr. Smith to walk you through the qualitative perspective of moving 6th grade students back into Bayside Middle School. And he'll also cover the number of students per classroom. That was bullet 5 from the overview slide.
Good evening, Chair Melnick, members of the school board, and Dr. Robertson. I'm Jim Smith, Senior Executive Director of Middle Schools. This portion of the presentation will provide a brief background that led to the establishment of the Bayside 6th grade campus. I will also provide information on accredited pass rates for math and English and discuss class size considerations. For both campuses, the data presented will span 12 years, from the 2012 school year through our current school year. Please also note that the data for the 12-13 and 13-14 school years are inclusive of grade 6 as Bayside Middle School was not established until the 14-15 school year. In 2014, Bayside sixth grade campus was created by provisions outlined in the Virginia Code under regulations established by the Standards for Accreditation for Public Schools in Virginia. It was this code that enabled the school board to successfully present a proposal for conditional accreditation for Bayside Middle School based on reconstituting the school by moving sixth grade students to the current sixth grade campus. Reconstitution was necessary given that Bayside Middle School was accredited with warning for 3 consecutive years in mathematics, with the projection that they would not meet accreditation standards for the 14-15 school year. Other factors that were considered were student attendance, student behavior, and teacher turnover. To that end, and as part of the restructuring of the student body, the decision was made to create 2 campuses, which are our current Bayside sixth grade campus and Bayside Middle School campus. The decision also emphasized the importance of small class sizes in fostering a more intimate school environment at both Bayside sixth grade and Bayside Middle School. This approach aimed to facilitate stronger relationships between teachers, administrators, students, and families. It also provided the opportunity to enhance instructional programs, provide professional learning opportunities for teacher and staff, and to foster parent and community engagement to bolster student success. To support these efforts, instructional coaches were hired for math and English, to provide professional learning, and to work closely with administrators, teachers, and students. Furthermore, outreach programs were implemented beyond the regular school hours, such as partnerships with local businesses and community organizations. For the next 2 slides, I'll provide accreditation pass rate for math and English reading for both campuses. To acclimate you to the format of both slides, the vertical axis will represent accreditation pass rates. Please note that during the 12-13 and 13-14 school years, Bayside Middle School received a combined accreditation pass rate for grades 6 through 8, as Bayside's sixth grade campus was not established until the 14-15 school year. The horizontal axis represents the accreditation year. Please also note that due to the pandemic, accreditation was waived for the 20-21 and 21-22 school years. The black line represents the pass rate needed to meet accreditation standards. It's important to note that accreditations are assigned based on the previous school year's performance on SOL tests. For example, looking at the 15-16 school year, accreditation was awarded based on the 14-15 school year SOL performance. Another way of looking at it would be that next year accreditation rates would be awarded based on the spring SOL performance. I'll pause to give you a few seconds to look at this slide. As you can see, there is an increase in the math accreditation pass rate from the 12-13 school year through the 22-23 school year for both schools. When combined as one campus, the math accreditation rate fell significantly below 70% from the 12-13 school year through the 14-15 school year, which was the main purpose for creating Bayside sixth grade campus, as previously mentioned. Since creating 2 campuses, both schools have surpassed the 70% required benchmark. Bayside sixth grade peaked at 95% during the 19-20 school year, with the lowest year as a standalone school at 80% during the 16-17 school year. Bayside Middle School peaked at 90% during the 19-20 and the 22-23 school years, with the lowest accreditation pass rate at 75% during the 17-18 school year. This slide represents the English reading accreditation pass rate for both campuses. To achieve accreditation in reading and English, schools must achieve a 75% pass rate on the English Reading SOL test, which is represented by the black line. It is also important to note that factored into the English Reading accreditation pass rate is the 8th grade writing test, meaning that for Bayside Middle School, the English Reading test scores for 7th and 8th grade students were combined with the 8th grade writing score to determine a final accreditation pass rate. I will pause to give you a few seconds to look at this slide. As you can see, there was an improvement in accreditation pass rate for Bayside 6, while the accreditation pass rate for Bayside Middle School remained steady. When combined as one campus, the accreditation rate fell significantly below 75% during the 13-14 school year. Since creating two campuses, both schools have experienced some level of success. Bayside's 6th grade campus peaked at 89% during the 22-23 school year, with the lowest accreditation pass rate at 69% during the 16-17 school year. Bayside Middle School peaked at 75% during the 17-18, 18-19, and 22-23 school years, with the lowest accreditation pass rate at 65% during the 15-16 school year. After reviewing this data, creating Bayside 6th grade campus, and making Bayside Middle School a 7th, 8th grade campus, it led to better performance and success. I also believe that much has changed between 2014 and 2024. After moving the 6th grade students to the 6th grade campus, more supports were added after the 14-15 school year for both schools. We have a more robust school support process that was put in place. Additional funds were added through the Title I supports. The level of professional learning for administrators, instructional coaches, instructional staff, and support staff is more aligned and grounded in best practice. The focus on integrated systems of support and research-based instructional strategies have been leveraged and continue to be maximized. And there has been an increase in support from our community members and Communities in Schools programs. To that end, regardless of the decision made, I do believe we are in a better place than we were in the 14-15 school year. I strongly believe and feel if we were to continue, we would continue to see success if the decision would be to combine Bayside 6 and Betty F. Williams, or move Bayside 6 students back to the Bayside Middle School campus. As previously mentioned in the presentation, the proposal created for Bayside 6th grade campus included considerations for small class size. This small class size was for both campuses, and it aimed to increase individual attention, improve classroom environment, enhance teacher-student relationships, enhance classroom management, and increase participation and engagement. I want to make you aware that anytime we look at class size, whether we're looking at class sizes of 20, 22, 28, and even 30, these considerations are always taken into account. John Hattie's research suggests that while reducing class size can have some positive effects on student outcomes, its impact is relatively modest compared to other factors. He found that small class size alone do not significantly improve student achievement unless accompanied by effective teaching practices. Hattie's work also indicated that factors such as student-teacher relationships, feedback, instructional strategies have also influenced student success, and more so than class size alone. To that end, while the decision is to combine, whether the decision is to combine Bayside 6 with Betty F. Williams or move Bayside 6 students and staff back to Bayside Middle School, I firmly believe we can increase the class size from 20 to 22 and continue to meet with success. At this time, I'll turn the presentation back over to Mr. Friedman.
All right, thank you, Dr. Smith. All right, so for everything that we're about to talk about, the change for potentially moving sixth grade back in would have a substantial change to the design, obviously. So everything that we're going to talk to you about moving forward is really if there was a decision to continue with a 4-5-6 school, because we would have to go back and do more work related to what the consequences would be if we were just to create a middle school for, elementary school for Williams. All right, so those are the responses that you asked us to explore, and if we were to proceed with a Williams Bayside 6 combined school, here are some updated numbers. Staff recommended modification to the 30% design from January for a reduction of about 19,000 square feet. The gym and multipurpose room remains as the staff recommendation. The school board seems to be aligned around eliminating the hallway library. That saves 2,000 gross square feet. And you seemed aligned around adding a dedicated sixth grade music room back into the plans. Add that together and that's a total reduction of 19,320 gross square feet. Additionally, staff determined, as Dr. Smith just shared, that we can plan for 22 students per classroom rather than 20. So if you look to the right, if you go from 20 to 22, that can save us 1 elementary school classroom and 3 middle school core classrooms, or core rooms, for a total of 4 classrooms. Each classroom is approximately 1,000 gross square feet, so there would be projected savings of about 4,000 gross square feet at about $2 million. At the top of this slide, you can see the numbers for the 30% design we presented in January. So 216 square foot per pupil, 184,000 square feet, at a building cost of $99.4 million, and a project budget approaching $118.5 million. You can see the notes at the bottom for what's covered in the building cost and the project cost. The project cost covers things like A&E fees, value engineering fees, construction management fees, cost of the site, change orders, loose equipment, and furniture. The actual calculation is pretty complex, but these additional costs are roughly 19% of the building cost. Next to that box are the numbers reflected in the staff recommendations from the April 16th brief, and I'll let you read those. Which leads us to the results of what you asked us to explore. If what we presented today for a 4-5-6 school was accepted, here are the numbers. 850 students, 162,700 total square feet. That's 192 square foot per pupil with 22 students per classroom. With the contract award date in 2026, the projected cost per square foot is $507.37. That's a building cost of $88.5 million and a project cost of $105.5 million. I will share with you that the 2026 bid timing is still a question, because we're still working through what's in the realm of possible. So we've estimated the cost per, our estimate may change over time. Additionally, you may have heard about a recent bid in Chesapeake. Chesapeake Public Schools is in the process of executing a design bid build project for an elementary school. And when they opened the envelope, the cost per square foot from the lowest responsible bidder was around $505 per square foot. We're estimating 507 2 years from now. And they just bid at 505. Which meant that the lowest responsible bidder was roughly $30 million over the estimated construction costs. We will update our estimates over time, but it is concerning that a bid cost per square foot is essentially where we are projecting 2 years from now. Before wrapping up, I want to cover a couple of housekeeping items. We're still hearing some questions about the PPA, so here's where we are. Remember, the school board specifically voted against proceeding with the comprehensive agreement, and we've been and continue to remain on a traditional method for building schools. We've received almost all deliverables from the interim agreement, ed specs, the designs, all the public input, and things like traffic studies. We are awaiting some things like property title searches, and we have all the financial analysis, but we're awaiting the final invoices for that work. So 14.4 million has been invoiced to date. Remember, the max available under the interim agreement was 15.4 million. When all the invoices are received, we expect it to be well under that amount. And here is our intended path forward from a capital projects perspective. We will come back to you at the next meeting with an update for our CIP maintenance projects. At the June 10th meeting, we'll facilitate a school board group exercise for Prince Sand High School, similar to what we did on April 16th for the Williams Bayside 6 project. We will then come back to you, just like we did today, with follow-up information based on any guidance that you give us from that meeting. At the school board retreat, we'll lead you through a comprehensive new construction discussion that includes all relevant areas for consideration for new construction, like funding, debt service, building utilization, and consolidation of building assets, and rezoning. The objective is to put as many contributing factors on the table for consideration to assist with finding a path forward for our modernization plan. With that, we'll not take your questions.
So, Mr. Freeman, if you can back up one slide.
Absolutely.
If you recall, when this board discussed whether or not to approve the CIP, there was a lot of concern around the cost of those buildings. And we made a commitment to you that we were not going to be building any buildings until we came back to you with all of the information related to the possible pathways. So we knew there were 3 potential schools we were looking at. We recognized the last one on that list, Bayside, was very likely, despite all of our efforts, to fall off. But that left, what do we do next? Prince Sand High School or Betty F. Williams Bayside 6th? And we felt in our conversations, it would be best if the board had all of the information about the various scenarios before the board engaged in a discussion in the fall in advance of creating the CIP for the next school year, which would then trigger a formal design bid build process. So, what you see in front of you is our efforts to go to the next school concept, which is Prince Sand High School, take you through a similar scenario so that when we get to the July school board retreat, Mr. Freeman, when he discusses comprehensive new construction design, it's going to kind of come back to, okay, philosophically, what do we feel about the ed specifications we did? Does the board prefer to stick with the Betty F. Williams Bayside 6 concept? Are they interested in exploring a Williams standalone with Bayside 6 going to Bayside 7/8? Because then we would need to go back and do something with getting that information for you. And then, of course, you'd have the Prince Sand High School information. So that's why you see that information up there now.
When are we going to need to make decisions on this? I see your timeline when we're discussing this. You want us to,
I think that goes into what Dr. Robertson was just describing. So we noticed during the budget season that we're still working on being aligned with what the plan moving forward. And there was concern with moving forward with the Betty F. Bayside 6 concept. And evidenced by the questions and guidance you gave us from the last meeting, and there were voices that said, hey, we think Princeton still might be the right one to move forward. We didn't have the financing to be able to recommend that as a staff, but certainly that part of the discussion would be able to share information with you that might help as a contributing factor to maybe being able to get there. Dr. Robertson, do you have anything to add to that?
I mean, I would think that depending on what happens July 9th, if the board is interested in having information about the cost of a Williams standalone and moving the sixth grade students back to 7-8, we'd have to gather that information over a couple of months to be able to then come back to you prior to December.
So are we going to be asking the public, the parents, again, because I know they were very adamant about keeping sixth grade with the
Yeah, so what I would offer there is I think we need to go back and look at the defined parents. We had sessions that we did with the parents at Diamond Springs, Newtown, and Williams. And I'm gonna guess in total, we had 25 parents show up between the three campuses.
That may be generous.
Okay, so when we can't, we'd be remiss if we said we're making decisions on those 25 parents.
Okay.
We certainly need to go out and engage those parents, but we need to engage those parents where they are because the method that we used did not generate enough responses for us to say, generally, this is the way these families feel. Because these families were operating under, we're gonna get a new school for 4, 5, 6. They weren't presented with, well, you could get a 4, 5 school and get 6 go back to 7, 8. We would have to go through and do that, which we would have time to do in the fall. Because that's been the board's pathway always to get input from the community.
Okay, so you would bring that back to them and present this other option and how it would affect building the other schools as well, because I know that's part of the thought.
Yeah, I think what that community wanna know is what does it mean for me?
Mhm.
And, you know, where is my child gonna be best positioned to get their best education?
Right.
And so I don't really think they would care too much about what happens at Prince Anne High School. They want to know
What's gonna happen? at
what's going to
Bayside?
happen to them. And so we would engage them in looking at a couple of scenarios. One would be the 4, 5, 6, and one would be a 4, 5, and then 6 over with 7 and 8.
Okay, well, I know that, I did ask the question that when we were discussing this the last couple of times. What about, putting the sixth grade back in seventh and eighth, just to find out what the thoughts were, and I know there's a lot of people that like that. But I've thought about it, I know I worked in sixth grade for 19 years in Larkspur, very similar to Bayside. And I know what smaller classes and intimate groups, not just the smaller classes, because as we said, that's a small amount, but the relationships that this school has built together with their parents, the community, the students, the teachers, it makes a difference. And I also know that they're only teaching sixth graders. You put them back together, there's gonna be lots of changing over. Oh, well, we need you in seventh and eighth grade too, so you're gonna be teaching a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So there's a lot of difference there. And I don't want to hurt these students, and how well they've done. So I just, I have major concerns with it. And I just wanted to share that.
So we, clearly have a bit of a quandary, which is we have a significant CIP problem, but we had a situation a decade ago that necessitated the creation of Bayside sixth grade campus. And through our own research and statistics that you put up there, they're doing exceptionally well. And then I listened to, discussion about, yeah, we can move these kids over to the seventh and eighth. However, by 2031, which is not that far away, we're going to be, the enrollment projections are very high, which is going to put us back in a precarious position to Ms. Riggs' point, the shifting of teachers and the dissolution of that program that is working so well. And then potential rezoning and crowded classrooms. And my fear is that we'll end up back where we started, no matter who's at the helm. I mean, this is a program that's working. And so they're clearly in a building that needs some revisiting quickly, as are those two high schools that are up for build. And so, as I stated from the beginning, this is a quandary, but I really am going to have some significant hesitation in marrying those two schools and moving forward that way, just so that we can get close. I don't even know if we're going to be close to having the money to fully fund Princess Anne High School. And I have colleagues that want to speak. I have some PPEA questions that I need to have answered, and so I'll swing back around. And so now I yield to Ms. Weems.
Thank you. Living in this area of the city, I'm a little familiar with the schools, and I believe one of my sons is 37, and when he was in middle school, his friend got moved from Bayside Middle to a 6th grade. So is this the second time? So have we done this twice? Like 25 years ago, did we separate them for like 1 or 2 years?
I think what people are referring to is when the 6th grade campus at one time was the Kemp's Landing Magnet, where they were on the campus right there on Jericho Road. Prior to that, I have no knowledge of that.
Okay, so this is the only time. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Thank you for clearing that up. So when we did this in 2000, I think you said 14, because of the scores, was this going to be a permanent? Was it supposed to be temporary, or was it supposed to be permanent?
I have no knowledge if it was going to be permanent or temporary at the time. I do know that it was prompted because of the fourth projected year that they wouldn't be accredited. So
Okay.
I don't have any knowledge of any
I want to ask Ms.
duration.
Woodhouse to chime in, because she was
Okay.
heavily involved in this as well.
Yes, and thank you, Dr. Robertson. Good question, Ms. Weems. At the time that the proposal was presented to divide the campuses, it was to address the fact that Bayside Middle School had not met accreditation standards and was accredited with warning. So dividing the campuses was to address that immediate need. There was not a timetable put in place. They have since, both campuses, been fully accredited. We have no further obligations to the state when we were under watch and having those quarterly meetings on the progress of Bayside Middle, more so than Bayside 6th grade campus. So we have met and fulfilled our obligations to the State Department around the accreditation status for both campuses.
Right, correct. And what is the average teacher-student ratio for our other middle schools? Do we have an average for all the middle schools?
So class size for other middle schools typically range between 28 and 30.
28 and 30, okay. All right. Just to thank you for all those answers. Okay, a comment. I cannot express strong enough that we need to get public input on this, because while it has been only, I think, 3 years, things have changed, and we've got kind of a new picture and a new reason to go out for public input. I am not comfortable deciding that this one group of 6th graders, the only 6th graders in the whole city, I'm not comfortable at all to say they need to be in a building with 4th and 5th graders. I'm fine with it if that's what, if that's educationally what we have got to do, or if the community is just so supportive of it. I'm not comfortable making that decision without a lot of thorough input. And I think that there's ways that we can get out and make sure that we get that input. And because I think that you've got to also present it with, they're gonna be in elementary or they're gonna be in a middle school and get more real, true middle school experiences. Because to me, it's hard to do both in both buildings. But, I don't have really a strong preference either way, except for that we've got to hear from the community. Interestingly enough, I'm involved with a couple of the civic leagues there. And just the other day, one of the civic league presidents, just kind of sent out on her Facebook, and I know this is not scientific, but that she just said, you know, the school board is building a new building, and she gave options of, do you think sixth grade should be in the new Betty F, fourth, fifth, sixth, or should they go back to their middle, or should they be alone at 60%? And there were 60 or 70 people that answered that survey, said to put them back in a middle school. So I think that was kind of surprising to me. So again, that's just one civic league, but I think that there's ways that we can get input out there, because to me, this decision pretty much means that it will be like this for the next 80 years, because we're building schools that are 80, going to be 80 or 100. So I'm not comfortable saying this one sixth grade class will never be in middle school again. They're going to be treated differently, and they're going to be in the fourth and fifth grade, unless we just get out there and get input and explain it all before I would be comfortable in making that decision. Thank you so much.
So, if you go back to slide 7, as been pointed out, I believe it's year, where do we become overloaded again? 2930, is that the year where they actually? So, I'm comfortable with thinking about putting these kids back to the sixth grade campus under one condition. We need to guarantee that the class sizes will remain 22 to 1 or less. I like 20 to 1, but 22 to 1 is acceptable. It goes over that, it's just not acceptable to me, because it's been pointed out already, and the reason why we know why they ended up in a campus by themselves, the sixth grade, is that we knew at the time that they needed more nurturing, they needed the smaller class size. So we can't really do that if we have class sizes like the rest of the middle schools around the city with 27, 28 kids per class. That's just too many for these kids that need the extra attention that we need to give them to maintain their academic standards. I think that's the biggest thing for me, is I want to be able to guarantee that they have small class sizes compared to the rest of the city. I think it's still there. Their environment is still the same as it was in 2013, 14, when we had such a disastrous scores. And I just feel like, at that time, when we finally get to 20, 28, 29, 30, we can rezone if we have to. They're close enough. I'm not sure I'd be willing to ask them to go to Larkspur, but I do believe Independence might be able to take off some of those kids. Maybe not rezone that whole neighborhood that's being built, but we also have to just see how many kids are going to be in that new neighborhood that's being built as well. We're not sure that, families with kids are going to be moving into that neighborhood. It might be younger people with much younger kids. So I don't think we should postpone it, putting them into a campus with the 7th and 8th graders. They will be riding the same buses with theirs, so that's where the problems lie. But at the same time, I think that I don't think it would be bad to have Betty F as their own, be in a 4th, 5th, and 6th grade campus. But I do believe, wow, that's amazing that community had 60 or 70 participants who said, 60% of those participants who said that that they should be back at the 7th and 8th grade facility. I'm not opposed to doing that. I would be opposed to it if we can't guarantee that they're going to have the smaller class size.
Absolutely, if I may. So loud and clear on the class size. I do want to share something, because I know this is a lot of information. So when I hear things, Just want to make sure that I've communicated properly. If I'm over communicating, you have my apologies. But what I heard you say is, hey, we could just move them to Independence.
Well,
What I
not-
am trying to communicate is if, and so what we've told you is worst case as far as the numbers and timing. And we need to be aware of worst case. That doesn't mean worst case is gonna happen. We just need to be aware of what the possibilities are. So if that was, if it was, the number was 700, regardless of when the timing is, these numbers that you see up there, and you can see the boxes around them, you can see what the current under projection is at Independence, it's 15. Now, that's gonna change 5 years from now. The number's gonna be different. Those things move all the time.
Right.
If it's 700 students, they're not going to Independence Middle School.
Yeah,
And they're
that's
not
true.
going to Independence in Larkspur. It's gonna be a more complex rezoning that would be required. Not inappropriate, very appropriate, given capacity levels of our schools. But what I do want to just share, because I've heard it a couple of times, and we have had some relatively easy rezonings recently, in recent years, meaning, hey, there's a projected thing, we just kind of redraw the lines, and that's all is going to be okay. This one would be a little bit more challenging. It's doable, but it'd be more challenging.
Right.
Thank you for bearing with me.
Thank you.
Ms. Brown?
Okay, thank you. So if you could, and I don't need any specific questions answered, but if you could go back to slide 12, which is the campus accreditation pass rates for math.
I'm trying to get there with this thing, but it's not working.
And I just kind of want to, I just want to draw attention to it for a second, because I do have a question for something later. Okay. And so I see how it's broken down and that, you know, if we were to add those, numbers together, that we would be closer to that bar of 70. If you go forward one slide, please. Oh, I'm sorry. There we go. Nope, to the, English. Yep, English, reading. And then I see here again, we also already, at Bayside Middle are having, some pass rate problems. And so when I think about the accreditation pass rates, more than just how it affects the division and the funding, I'm actually more concerned about the students. And so while we're having this conversation about the impact of combining them on the accreditation for the division, we're also having a conversation about accepting that these students have been left behind on that. And, you know, not for a lack of trying, but I do want to point out that that is the conversation that's occurring right now with the accreditation conversation, is that we want to make sure that we have everything we need as a division while these students here are falling behind. And so I am concerned about that. And I always plug for English and reading and writing skills and math. I know that the data on that at this age is very important. But I would also be very interested in the accreditation pass rate of the 4th, 5th grade campus that we're talking about combining it with, because that picture might also look exactly the same if we were to look at the 4th and 5th grade campus as we are at the middle school campus. And so it wouldn't make that picture change at all. And so I do think that we need to evaluate that. So I just wanted to say that. And then the ratios. Last meeting, I had mentioned that I wanted to keep the ratios, and as much as I love to, I'm always a big proponent of lower classroom ratios. I'm sure I could probably point to other parts in our city, maybe even in my District 10 here, that could really benefit from a 20-to-1 ratio. But when I'm looking here at our SOQs for middle school for fiscal year 23-24, I do see for math, science, social studies, and English, the minimum class size for every single school in our division is 24-to-1, with a max of 35-to-1. in those subjects, where Bayside Sixth and Bayside Middle's max is the same as our minimum. And so, you know, as much as I would love to make sure that every student has access to that, I think that we need to make sure that we're trying to be as fair as we can across the city, while maintaining, making sure that every student has the resources they need to succeed. And then finally, I do want to get in my plug, I always will. You know it's coming. I appreciate the, I think it's about 10, is it 19,000 square feet in reduction? Or is it 10,400?
So from the January to what staff recommended to you in April was 19,000 square feet. Based on the guidance that the school board gave us and what I briefed you, that's 19,320, if I'm doing that by
Right.
memory from the slide. That doesn't count the adjustment that go from 20 students per classroom to 22, which is an additional 4,000 square feet, which is an additional $2 million.
Okay. And then my other question was, is you mentioned that the classroom's square footage is 1,000 square feet, and I seem to recall in our meeting that it was 800 square feet. So which one is it? Are they 800 or are they 1,000?
This is the conversation between gross square foot and net square foot.
Uh-huh.
They're 800 net square feet.
Yep.
Which equates to 1,000 gross square feet.
Okay, thank you. But
It's a-
still,
It's a good question. That's the nuance.
it's still a little too big for me. So, thank you. The building,
Ms.
a little
Owen?
too large for me. Thank you.
Thanks. Actually, on the same slide that Ms. Brown had asked for, I was hoping if you have the number. So for the 14-15 academic year, could you tell me what the pass rate actually was there? It looks like it's between 60 and 70, maybe 60-something.
I don't have the exact because I don't have the label clicked on it, but it looks like it's 68, 69%.
Okay, and then for the 23-24 school year for the middle school, is it different?
The 23-24,
Uh-huh.
based on last year's results, it's about roughly 68.
Okay. Which I see the fluctuation, and so it would be unfair to just look at those 2 points in a vacuum. But the middle school, the year that we decided, the powers that be, decided that the separation needed to occur, had 68% English pass rate. 10 years later, middle school has 68% English pass rate. And so that's something within the nuance of the fluctuations there, I guess to consider of how impactful it's been for the middle school. We can see where the sixth graders seem to have benefited from the pullout. The middle school students, it's a little less cemented.
So just for clarification, the 14-15 school year includes grades 6, 7, and 8.
Okay, so everybody.
Because that was the previous year's SOL test results.
And so
so
the
that-
sixth graders
yeah,
may
we-
have been bringing the average up, it looks like, from what we saw from 15-16.
15-16 school year would be based on the 14-15 school year.
Right. I mean, and they may have come in and just blew it out of the water the following year. As far as the community input, like everybody has said, we want to hear from them. I'm hoping that we could have some kind of booths or situations set up for the beginning of the school year, the Meet the Teacher evenings. I think that's when we get the most traffic of parents actually coming through the door and They may not all be there at the same time to be able to hear the little speech that happens in the cafeteria, but they're coming at some point. And if we could have a booth in front of the door or near that entryway at each of those three schools with just information and having people maybe weigh in, I think that that might be the way that we get the most actual parent input from those groups. And so we would probably have to jump on it sooner rather than later to have it ready, but it's just my thought on that. Thank you.
And I have to ask that if we are going to survey parents or give parents any information, that they have a clear understanding that within about 5 years, their child might be rezoned to another school. They really need to understand that. That's the full picture for what lies ahead. Not just, should we combine? That rezoning piece is significant. And that will be probably the most significant rezoning that we've had to.
Yeah.
Yes, we would. If we combine those schools, well, we,
It's rezoning new construction. That new construction is what's bringing in right?
no.
I'll clarify, and this goes
Thank you.
into what's different about this one. So we've had some ones in recent years where there was a little nook that you could just kind of draw a line around and make it change, so there wasn't really a material change. These are kind of embedded into the community, so we're not saying it's just gonna be that, can you go back to the one that has the, map on the right-hand side? So one more, maybe two more. Yeah, that one right there. So you can see in the green Bayside area, you can see the blue, which is, those are projects that are moving right now. And then in the red, those are projects that aren't moving. That total of all of that is the worst-case projection. So that's not something that you just say that those students are now gonna go to a different, school. It would be a more substantial rezoning requirement.
But is that blue area new construction?
The blue is progressing new construction, and the red is potential new construction.
Okay. So these are all, I mean, I can't see that we would say that to these parents that there's possibility that they would be rezoned.
That was the projection, that by 2031, we're looking at a significant number, a significant increase.
I think the comment was related to if we're gonna get engaged with the community, that everybody who might be in that zone would have that conversation. So I didn't think they were intending to just communicate with future families of that housing complex. They're talking about broadly, and it would need to be a broad consideration for how to redraw the line. We would not just draw lines around those and then bust them somewhere else.
And so
When I
perhaps,
say around those, what I mean is we wouldn't just take those new developments and bust the new development somewhere else.
and so perhaps we need to engage Diamond Springs and Newtown in addition, if it's not going to affect these next 3 years, but you're talking about kids, 5, 6, 7 years out, then those are the parents that we should be talking to. They need to know this, and that's fair.
So I think all this being said is we would find the right community to be able to communicate with. We know that this is a value of Virginia Beach City Public Schools. And if and when we get to the point when the school board says, we are interested in this and we want you to move forward, and before we can move forward, we want information, that will engage the communication process. And we have processes in place where we can do this. And then we would then now have a timeline that we would come back to you and share with you what we were doing, what the progress was related to that. So, and Dr. Robinson, just make sure that I'm sharing this well. There's been questions related to when do you need something? When do we need something from the school board and the communication piece? This is kind of the reason to have that comprehensive discussion related to new construction at the retreat, so that we can kind of get all these things together. At that point in time, you would have information on the design related to Williams Bayside 6. You would have information on design related to Prince Anne High School. And then you could give us all right, here's what we want to guide you with moving forward over the next many months, which may include a consideration for communicating with the community about potentially moving Bayside 6. It may not. It would be whatever was, you came to our agreement and wanted to direct us. Dr. Robertson, is that fair?
Yes, and so our goal has been, and will continue to be until we can wrap this in a bow, is to give you as much information as we can possibly give you. try to help everyone involved in this decision, which is 11 people, to recognize the realities now and weigh those against the hypotheticals later. Because we know we have buildings that need to be built. We know that time is money. And we feel like this process is going to give this body enough information by the end of this year, prior to December, to decide what's the next design build process and what configuration will we be pursuing. And I would also say that there's no possible way you would have heard tonight from this group if we did not believe 100% that we could move the sixth grade students back into 7-8 and provide a superior educational experience with all of the things that have changed since 1450. That's unanimous on my team. If we didn't think that that was a reality, we could pull that off, you would not have seen that tonight.
So
That
I,
being said,
Sorry.
we understand that this body will make a decision, and whether or not they're 4, 5, 6, or 6, 7, 8, we're gonna make it work.
so I'd be interested in the opinions of the administration in that building. Because honestly, our people are gonna do whatever we tell them to do, because that's what they do. But I really wanna know what those principals think. I think that that's really important, and I want an honest answer on that one. Not that they're gonna make it work, because this is something that's been showing promise, and I sat in on a design charrette, and I wasn't hearing like maybe we should be keeping fourth and fifth, just doing, and then combining sixth, seventh, and eighth. I didn't hear that at all, and that's my concern here. I'm sorry to give pushback like this, but I think that we have, we can't, I say this often, that we can't always operate in theory. We need a reality check sometimes, and the reality check comes from the people who are in those buildings doing that work every day. And that is real, and it's what contributes to teachers leaving this profession when we fail to remember what is happening in those buildings every single day, and that we're not operating in a, we can do this, and they're gonna do it, but there's significant drop off in this area. So I have a PPA question. I was the last one on the, are you on there?
I am.
Okay, so I'm
Thank
gonna.
you.
I don't see you at all. I see Miss Bev is still on there. Okay, you're
Thank
showing up
you.
as her.
All right. Yep, it's been a little mixed up. So, thank you so much for the presentation. Both of these schools that we're discussing are in my district. And for the short time that I've been a part of this body, I have asked the same questions that were posed here tonight and have done the due diligence of meeting with the principal of Betty F. Williams and point blank asking his opinion, as well as asking how can I access the parents of the school to get their opinion. And so he advised me that there is a parent newsletter that goes out. Every school sends out a parent newsletter. And so this evening, he has sent out in his parent newsletter my little ad that asks for them to share their vision for the future of Betty F. Williams with their district representative. And so with my email address, I'm hoping to also do this with Bayside 6. I met the principal there as well as Diamond Springs, because I agree, I think it is important to get the feedback from the principals and the parents. We can't make this decision in theory. Like my colleague, Ms. Williams, has shared, I too have heard differing opinions from the community. They want to see the sixth graders go back to 7 and 8. From the schools, principals, they like the idea of 4 through 6, but 6 and 4, 6 definitely separated, because as one of the principals told me, a sixth grader doesn't need to be having kiddie conversations with the fourth grader. And so I think there's a way forward. Our superintendent made a really good suggestion that I think we should have the data on what it would look like for 4 through 5 only, and what 6 going back to 7 and 8, what that would look like if we can get that prepared. I think it's good for us to look at that as well, because the community calls for us to at least look at it. And we should consider it, like my colleague, Ms. Brown said, you know, as far as the testing goes, how do we know that the testing won't reflect the same kind of outcome when combined? But with that being said, my question, when I heard, and thank you for the presentation and explaining what happened and what brought us to this decision. It was really helpful for me being the new school board member in this body. But I saw that we took special care to hire math and English professional coaches for Bayside 6. Why can't we hire the professional coaches for Bayside 7 and 8? Because we don't want them to lack as well. If we decide to combine 6 through 8 together, can't we keep the same type of support that we've been providing to the 6 and continue that if we were to bring the 6 through the 8th together so that they wouldn't suffer?
So the 7-8 campus does have instructional coaches.
Okay.
So they have the same supports Bayside 6, and many of our middle schools do have instructional coaches.
Okay, thank you for that. So I think we should look at both options with the data as our superintendent suggested. And I am going about getting feedback and also looking at the potential of having a town hall at Williams Farm with these schools in the triangle, as well as Bayside 6 and Betty F. Williams. Though I know that, I'm hearing they don't show up. However, with recommendations from you on how to get this feedback. But I'm boots on the ground trying to get this information for us. But your help would definitely be welcomed. Thank you.
So if I may go back to the PPA question, which is, we have invoiced to date $14.4 million, so that leaves us $600,000 left. Are we expecting this to be reappropriated, or are you expecting more to be invoiced from our initial 15 million set aside?
So it's 15.4.
Okay.
That was the original, so we're roughly, there's still $1 million that has not been invoiced yet.
Okay, so when are we expecting that, to be complete?
So the financial one is easy. We're waiting on that feedback. Related to the other work, it's a little bit more complex. How much complexity would you like to go in this environment?
Well, we can go offline,
Yeah.
so, I'm asking these questions for,
Yeah.
some citizens, and so I need to be able to answer that properly. So I'll skip to my other one, which is,
So if I will, then I'll summarize it. There are some legal things that we have been working on, related to, and I put the property searches in there.
okay,
And so.
Fair enough.
It's challenging, because some of those could have gone on for a very long period of time, so we stopped that process, and we'll have to reinitiate it outside the interim agreement. Your question related to what happens to the money, so essentially that money was never spent, and it's in one of 3 pots. It's either in the Bayside High School pot, it's in the Betty F. Bayside 6, or the Prince Anne High School pot. When I say pot, what I mean is that line item
Sure.
on that, which is why we left, what we told you it wouldn't be appropriate to remove the Bayside High School one, because we still needed to wait for things to get done. So as part of the cycle, next year, if there's money that's remaining in there that's not appropriate to be in there, for example, Bayside sticks out, then we would shift that money, and then we'd have the discussion like we talked about before, whether we just remove that completely from the CIP. If it remains in Prince Anne High School, it just stays in the project for Prince Anne High School. If it stays for Betty F., it stays there. Based on the amount that we're talking about, that's not a substantial adjustment between the two. There would be larger considerations if we needed to move money between one new construction project and another.
okay. And my last question is, I know, work can be bid on 10% completion of plans. We're at 30% completion, so clearly the work can be bid, from a numbers perspective or construction perspective. But I just want to make sure that the full design is included in this cost. This, getting us to 100% design is included in the project budget.
It is.
Okay. I think that's all that can be answered this evening. Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Okay. I thank you so much.
Thank you.
No, she asked to be taken out. I don't know why her name is still in there. Oh, now she's not. Okay. Nobody else? Thank you. So I will defer now to our attorney as it is 5:12. Would you like to begin?
You have a couple relatively easy matters that could get done if you want to get them done in 15 minutes, just depends how long you want to spend. There's one matter that could take a little bit longer, but there's some
Oh, we can
relatively
come
short
back to
matters.
that. So I'm looking for some head nods from my
I
colleagues.
mean, definitely stop at 5:30.
Okay. All right.
We have a hard stop.
Okay, we'll have a hard stop. So I move that the school board recess into closed session in accordance with the exceptions to open meetings law set forth in Code of Virginia, section 2.2-3711, Part A, paragraph 1, 7, and 8, as amended to deliberate on the following matters. Discussion, consideration, or interviews of prospective candidates for employment, assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, disciplining, or resignation of specific public officers, appointees, or employees of any public body, an evaluation of performance of departments or schools of public institution of higher education, where such evaluation will necessarily involve discussion of the performance of specific individuals. Consultation with legal counsel and briefings by staff members or consultants pertaining to actual or probable litigation, where such consultation or briefing in open meeting would adversely affect the negotiating or litigating posture of the public body. For the purposes of this subdivision, probable litigation means litigation that has been specifically threatened or on which the public body or its legal counsel has a reasonable basis to believe will be commenced by or against a known party. Nothing in this subdivision shall be construed to permit the closure of a meeting merely because an attorney representing the public body is in attendance or is consulted on a matter. Consultation with legal counsel employed or retained by a public body regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel. Nothing in this subdivision shall be construed to permit the closure of a meeting merely because an attorney representing the public body is in attendance or is consulted on a matter. Namely, to discuss appointment of citizen members to school board citizen advisory committees effective 1 July 2024, superintendent's evaluation, employee request for reimbursement of legal fees, status of pending litigation or administrative cases, and consultation with legal counsel regarding probable litigation and pending litigation matters. The motion was made by me and seconded by Ms. Anderson. All in favor? The voting board is open.
So, Madam Chair, we have 8 ayes to go into closed session, so the motion did pass.
Okay, I thank you. We are now in closed session. Virginia Beach has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. And whereas Section 2.2-3712D of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by this school board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the school board of the city of Virginia Beach hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which this certification applies, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered. Motion made by Ms. Anderson, seconded by Ms. Owens. All in favor? The voting board is open.
Okay, Madam Chair, we have 8 ayes, so the motion did pass for certification of closed.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And so the resolution regarding payment of employee legal fees. Whereas on October 28th, 2022, a Virginia Beach Middle School teacher was charged with assault and battery of a minor student. And whereas the charge against the teacher was dismissed by the Virginia Beach General District Court on September 28th, 2023, and the charge was later expunged from the teacher's criminal record by the Circuit Court. And whereas the teacher and her attorney are seeking payment of legal fees in accordance with Policy 2-59 in the amount of $1,777 in legal fees and costs incurred in defending this charge and having her criminal record expunged. And whereas School Board Policy 2-59 allows the school board to pay an employee's legal fees incurred as a result of a lawsuit filed against the employee in their official capacity, and provided that the lawsuit is later dismissed against the employee. Whereas the superintendent recommends that the school board pay the employee's legal fees. Now therefore be it resolved that the school board authorizes payment of the employee's legal fees and costs in the amount of $1,777. And further resolved that the clerk is directed to send a copy of this resolution to the teacher, the teacher's attorney, school board attorney, the chief financial officer, the director of business services, and the chief human resources officer, who is directed to place a copy of this resolution in the employee's personnel file. Adopted by the school board of the city of Virginia Beach this 14th day of May 2024. The voting board is, motion made by Ms. Brown, seconded by Ms. Owens, and the voting board is open.
So, Madam Chair, we have 8 ayes for the resolution, so the motion did pass.
Thank you. It is 5:30. I'll see everybody at 6.